Hi guys, you're welcome to the DO show and I'm excited to be here again. My name is Dami Olanrewaju. I'm your host for the DO show and we've started a series considering where to put your money in 2019, and we've really dealt with the issue of habits. The last time we dealt with the issue of how to invest in capital market, but today I'm very excited with our flow of thoughts. Today we're going to be looking at one of the passion point for me is real estate, and people don't really know how to navigate that terrain, and I'm not going to be doing that. That's why I brought in an expert into the studio to really help us understanding how and where to invest in real estate in 2019. So I'm excited to have Dr. Seyi Olufemi. He's the Chief Operating Officer of Casavina Capitals Limited. And we're glad to have you here, sir.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
So just a brief introduction to the audience so that we can get a perspective of who you are and what you do.
Well, like you had earlier introduced, my name is Olufemi Seyi. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Casavina Capital. But before this time, my background significantly was healthcare, and then we decided to focus on the real estate because we feel that real estate provides a number of opportunities. One of the opportunities that real estate provide is the opportunity for people to invest in. But much more than that, real estate is a major employer of labor because real estate itself is labor intensive. So we decided to venture into real estate, and then we created Casavina Capital. So that's essentially what we do.
Yeah, so I want us just to go through a brief run through in terms of the real estate sector in Nigeria. Can you just do a quick run through as to what is the current state of affairs when it comes to real estate in Nigeria and how to navigate the terrain?
What I would do is to divide real estate sector into two broad categories. We have the commercial real estate and then we have the residential real estate. But where we have the bulk of the challenge is the residential real estate subsector of it. It's not news anymore that we have about 17 million housing deficit in Nigeria. And then we need hundreds of thousands of units to be delivered every year if we're going to meet our projected target in a few years' time. And that is not being achieved at the moment at all. And significantly, it's amazing to know that in spite of the massive opportunity, we still don't have any serious fund or any serious international engagement in that sector. And that's because the residential real estate sector is particularly fragmented. There are challenges from purchasing land to building, getting regulatory approval for land, and then you deal with the street urchins, what you call omoniles. You deal with, it's a crazy mix there. So that is also not helping at all as it is. But in the midst of these challenges, we have massive opportunity to influence it.
So yeah, I like where you stopped, and I want you to begin to explain to us, because I like the word opportunity, right? What are the opportunities for a typical investor or a typical corporate person, a business, a working class person that wants to invest in this sector? What is the viable, realistic opportunity that we can pursue?
Let me start by making a general statement. Opportunity is massive, very, very big. But if we're going to tap into that opportunity, we need to rethink the whole concept of real estate investment. And what do I mean by saying we need to rethink the whole concept of real estate investment? When people think about real estate investment, they're either thinking, I want to buy land, or I want to buy a house I want to live in. And that is what most people, that's where they end up. But the investment opportunity in real estate is broader than that. Very few people think about, I want to invest in real estate because I want to earn some level of cash flow. If you don't have 3 million to buy land, so there's nothing wrong in looking at other real estate linked instruments that are available in the market. I'm sure that maybe we'll drill down into this, but we need to rethink what we call real estate investment. We need to also rethink how we invest. I've mentioned that there are a lot of opportunities apart from buying land and building houses. There are a lot of real estate linked investment. And then apart from that, we need to tap into the power of the crowd. Now, if I cannot afford to build a block of 4 flat myself. There's nothing wrong in working with like 4 or 5 of my friends to say, you know what, why don't you look at an area, build a 6 flat apartment, and then we rent it out. We do short let up as kind of service. We use it as, those are opportunities. So tapping into the power crowd. So we need to generally rejig how we look at it, look at the various instruments that are available, and then apart from that, developers and mortgage or real estate financial experts or a service provider need to rethink how we sell real estate investment opportunity.
So, Doctor, in terms of rethinking the opportunities, I want you to begin to tell us what you think about where the opportunities are in terms of, I know about REIT, that's real estate investment trusts. That's the mutual fund dedicated for real estate investment. What's your thought about that? Is that the direction to go in 2019? And what are the other instruments that you would suggest that we invest in?
For those who are serious about exposure to real estate, traditionally REIT would have been, you want exposure at the lowest of risk. REIT would have been a very solid instrument to invest in. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, our REITs have not done too well. The return have not been too fantastic. But there are a lot of other instruments that are not readily available in Nigeria. In more matured economy, we have what you call mortgage-backed securities, and so on and so forth. But you have construction bonds and so on. But those are instruments that are possible, but some of them may not be available. But having said that, what are some of the other real estate investment opportunities in Nigeria? And I'll also mention some of the things we're doing. Let me start by mentioning REITs, since you mentioned it earlier. REITs is like mutual fund that targets real estate asset. I think at the moment we have about 2 or 3 REITs in the market. We have about 2 or 3. Union, I think Sky has a REIT, and then UPDC, which is the leader in terms of activities and volume. And those are essentially the core of the retail investment opportunity in real estate at the moment, apart from those who want to buy land and so on and so forth. But what we're doing is we're trying to change the narration by creating products that retail investors can invest in and earn a pretty solid return. And in consideration, the first question we'd ask ourselves is, how do we provide the return that investors would need? How do we provide a return that can compete with conventional instruments and do better? And then how do we ensure that we manage the risk and reduce the hassle of investing in real estate? So we decided to create our platform. Our platform is 1 square meter, that's 1sqm.ng. It allows people to invest from the retail hand. At the moment, we are putting the minimum investment at 250 and then multiples of that. But what we've done is to build a system that first of all reduces the hassle. So you have 2 options. For example, when you are investing on our platform, you can invest directly in like a loan that we're giving to developer, or you can invest directly and own a portion, or what you call fractional ownership of property. You can own a portion of property. So let's assume that you are saying, you know what, I want to own, and you were selling a duplex for 10 naira. You can decide I want to own 10% of that duplex. So you own the 10%. We bring in 10 other people via our platform to co-invest with you, or you can even introduce your own co-investor, and then you invest in this property. We put it out to rent. You can gain from the rental income, so you have ready cash flow, which is number one thing in consideration when you're looking at investment, and then capital appreciation. But the sweet spot with our own investment is, now when we build, because we started as brick and mortar, we understand the cost structure in construction. We can virtually reduce our cost to near zero. So what we've done simply is to now transfer that cost saving as return for our investors. So from the moment you buy an asset, for example, on 1 square meter, you're already getting immediate capital appreciation of nothing less than 20%. But if you don't want to own, you don't want that long-term commitment, you could simply say, you know what, I want to invest in debt instruments on the platform, and then you invest in construction loan. For that one, the minimum is 250 at the moment, and then you earn guaranteed return of 20 to 25%. It's actually 20, and which is paid upfront. So it's the true yield is about 25%. So that's one instrument we've introduced. So having said that, those are some of the offers available in the market, and then what we're also introducing at the moment.
So Now, I like the way that you explain the whole concept of the 1 square meter. And by the way, guys, I expect you to check out what's on offer on 1sqm.ng. It's a real estate investment portal. I try to explain it briefly as the farm crowding of real estate. The thing about it is the yield. It's quite interesting because it's giving you more than the treasury bills and whatever you can have currently in the market. And that's why I especially brought into the studio to really explain to us. But I know that you have some other ancillary services that you offer within the Casavina portfolio, and I want us to walk us through that those products and how we can leverage on them, because we're trying to maximize yield and opportunity in 2019 and all the other opportunities that will come also.
One of the things, well, maybe first of all, if I let me say who we are as a company. We're a financial service company, leveraging on technology. I don't want to use the word fintech, but that's what we are essentially. So apart from providing real estate investment opportunity, one thing we generally take a look at all the time is to see what sector can we disrupt using technology more. What we did was we took a look at the whole investment spectrum, and we said, first of all, we want to provide better yield for people across spectrum. So you can have short to medium term investment and you can have longer term investment. So we decided, on the longer term, the assets that can provide long term yield that is way above inflation, way above other instruments is real estate. That's the origin of 1 square meter. But we also know that some people have few months kind of investment timeline. So we decided, okay, what can we do? What platform can we do to encourage people to invest for short term? So we created Savers Club. It's a member-only savings platform that provides return from 10 to 17%. So you can either do short term 10 to 17%, or you can do longer term up to 25% as it is. But we know that if you invest your money, whether short or long term, sometimes you need cash on the immediate. So we said we've had instances where an investor says, I'm giving you 1 million naira to invest in so, but 2 weeks down the line, he needs 100K, he needs 200K. So we thought, okay, why can we not provide this opportunity for investors to access part of the funds? So we created our online loan platform. We call it Breeze. Breeze is, you must be registered to use that platform. You can't just approach the platform from anywhere. So once you're an investor, if you indicate interest in that, we create a profile for you on Breeze. So you log in. Depending on what your investment is. So if your investment is like $1 million, for example, you can have access up to 700,000 naira on the platform. And the rate is better than whatever rate you will see in the consumer lending space. An average consumer lending company will charge you, say, 6 to 10%. On that particular Breeze platform, you probably will be charged between 3.5 to 4 plus or minus 5% there, about 4.5%, 3.5 to 4.5, depending on what margin of your investment you want to take. What it does is that it eases the cash crunch an investor may have for a short period, and at the same, so you can get access to the cash while your investment is still earning a pretty solid return. So those are some of the products we released into the market. So our loan platforms are backing those investments up.
It looks more like a turnkey investment opportunity and platform, from the real estate focused investment or platform, which is the 1 square meter, to the Savers Club, which allows you to save. Given also that those are part of things we discussed earlier on the show about the money habits you must develop in 2019. And also you are trying to really reduce the downside of having to go for a loan if we have to go for it. So it's a very good one, and we really appreciate how that this kind of product is coming to the market at this time where people are going through some financial strain, and a lot of people are actually confused as to where to actually put the money. It's a very good one. So wrapping up this conversation now, so what would you suggest generally in terms of investment? What are the investment principles that you think people should imbibe for 2019 in view of the terrain and the economic situation? What would be your general remarks and parting shot in that aspect?
One of the first lessons I learned in personal finance is the concept of asset allocation. You need to understand that particular concept. A lot of people tend to put their monies in one area or put their money in where they think provides the highest return. While that is a strategy, it's not necessarily the best of strategy. So the concept of asset allocation allows you to apportion your investment into buckets, and you could break it down into three. The first one is your most secured bucket, virtually zero risk or very low kind of risk. So in this bucket, that's when you look at fixed income instruments. You're looking at bond, treasury bill, fixed deposit, and then 1 square meter kind of investment, because it's fixed income per se, particularly one where you invest in guaranteed return. That's you invest in loan. They are fixed income instruments. So those are instruments you look at that level. The second level, which comes with a little bit of risk, but the return is a little bit better because there's a component of growth or capital appreciation with it. A very, very solid example is to invest in real estate. Maybe you want to own a part of real estate, you want to own a part of residential real estate. Even you could say that land, but though land does not exactly fit into it, but more of residential real estate. Some people will play with equity in this mix, particularly relatively safe equity. Well, there's no safe equity per se, but real estate is solid to put into this bucket. And then the last bucket provides astronomical return. That is, we want to invest in private equity, you want to invest in businesses, you want to invest in all those higher risk but greater return kind of thing. But if I were to advise, I would say that start with your equity, your security bucket. You're putting in cash. I would expect you to have fixed deposit. Usually I would encourage you to have a chunk of it that can cover 3 to 6 months of your need. And then invest in fixed income instruments. I would start with 1 square meter is one of our products is like a fixed income instrument, fixed deposits and bonds and the like. So that's what the focus should be. And if you look at, because of the challenge of the economy we have, you want to, as much as possible, put your cash where there's some level of liquidity. You are looking at like those instruments I've already mentioned. So that's what I'll push. And then if you've done that, you're comfortable with that. You also, real estate is pretty solid. Inflation is high, so you need something that can stay well ahead, or you are losing money. So real estate is a second very solid area to invest in, particularly if you're talking to experts. If you want to buy your house, you're buying through expert like us or some other player in the market. And then after that, you could now you still have some cash to play around with. Equities, another area where I think you might want to consider. That's basically what I am.
It's been great having you in the studio, and my expectation has actually been met. I hope viewers' expectation has been met too. Detailing how that we should invest in 2019 and giving us a strategy, particularly the real estate sector. So guys, you already have everything that we have for this series, where to put your money in 2019. And I hope that we've been able to give you enough information and insight as to how to go about it. So that's why I want you to subscribe on YouTube and all our social media platforms at Nigeria Business TV to get the latest information on business strategies, investment opportunities, and all of this. And from us here, this will be our last episode for the year. It's been great coming your way. And I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a happy and prosperous New Year ahead. So we'll see you next year.